does a person create the most amount of destructive spirits? Now, every time somebody creates a sin, he's creating a destructive spirit. But there's one type of sin that creates an enormous amount of destructive spirits, and that is, Rabotai, wasting seed. When a man wastes seed, he's creating hundreds of millions of destructive spirits. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of them. Each one of those seeds is a destructive spirit that's sitting, standing right next to him, looking for an opportunity to punish him for it. Why? He says, Abba, how come you didn't give me a body? Abba, where's my body? Abba, my body. Hey, oh, what? And then Abba has a kid with a body. What does he want to do? He wants to hurt the kid now. Why? He's jealous of the kid. This is why until this day in Yerushalayim, there's a law that children are not allowed to go into the cemetery with their father. When their father dies, Hashem Menachem, they're not allowed to bring their father's tomb into the cemetery. Why? Those destructive spirits may kill them. This is mamash a law. This is not like, oh yeah, some people. No, mamash, not allowed. Why? It's 100% real. Also, you should know, this is the reason why when you go and have an aliyah in Bet Knesset, you have an aliyah in Bet Knesset, and they tell you, a Betzalel ben, you say, Amos ben, Yaron ben, and we always say usually, the mom. Why the mom? Why? Father's no good? What's wrong with the father? Why? Father's no good? Father's tzaddik. What's wrong with the father? It says if the father is still alive, there's a chashash, meaning there's a doubt, maybe he wasted seed. So he has no merits yet. Until he does tshuva, we have to use the mom because she didn't waste any seed. That's what we use the mom. That's what we use the mom. We only use the father after he passes. That's the reason. Why? Those destructive spirits, mamash, are next to us. They're next to us. Yes? Ken? Yes and no. The difference between someone that wastes seed on purpose versus someone that wastes seed in a dream is the level of punishment. When it's when it's on purpose, then it's called mezid. Mezid meaning it's a purposeful sin, and for that, if a person dies without doing tshuva, as we talked about in our shiur in Gehenom, they enter Gehenom and never leave. Now, and yeah, it's one of the three worst possible sins in all of Judaism and the entire Torah, and it's very, very serious sin, and people must do tshuva. In reality, every single man must take this into their account and do tshuva for it separately from everything else. It's not a regular tshuva, which I'll talk about momentarily. Now, if it's a nocturnal emission, or what they call a wet dream, and there is a sperm that leaves the body during a dream because of some dream that they had, then it's not mezid, it's not a purposeful sin, but nonetheless, it's still a sin. Why? The Gemara in Masechet Avodah Zarah says, watch your eyes in the morning, so sin doesn't come to you at night. What does it mean, sin doesn't come to you at night? Only reason why you have wet dreams is because you don't watch your eyes during the day. Now, sometimes a person does watch his eyes, but he still has it. Anyone that has done real tshuva for wasting seed, which is a very, very serious and very difficult tshuva, but nonetheless possible, the Rambam himself says it's the most difficult thing in the world to do tshuva for. Most difficult sin. Why? It's very addictive. But nonetheless, it is possible. Hashem did not create a world where you can't do tshuva. He wants you to do tshuva. And He gives you help to do tshuva, like we talked about in the beginning of the shiur. Someone that wants to do tshuva, Hashem helps him. So now, to do tshuva for this usually is a lot of ups and downs in the beginning. So a person will stop, and for a month, or a week, or a day, or whatever he stops for, and then he goes back, he does it again. And then he stops again for a month, and then again. And then he goes a little longer the next time, it's 3 months, and then again. Or even if he stops completely after a while, and then 6 months he breaks. And then again he goes for a year. and then he breaks. Or perhaps he stops completely, but he still has the dreams that end up having a seminal emission. But those seminal emissions during the dream become less and less over time. They become less and less over time as the body itself recovers itself, as the soul recovers itself, and also as the Hashem sees that you're very serious about your tshuva, he helps you more and more. But it's not an easy sin. It's not like Shabbat, for example. We just keep Shabbat and you sleep all day on Shabbat and you're fine. Fixing your brit takes a long time, and a lot of the big chachamim say that's the TIKKUN of the door. That's the main thing to do tshuva for in this last generation. So when someone has a wasting seed during a dream of some type, it's still a sin they have to do tshuva for, but it's not considered mizid. It's not considered purposeful, but it's still considered a sin because it is a result of their actions. Even if it's something you saw 6 months ago. Even if right now you watch your eyes already for 6 months, you still had that dream and it still led to that. Why? It's because of something you saw 6 months ago, or a year ago, or 2 years ago. And until Hashem gives you the siyata d'shmaya to erase it, erase all of that bad stuff from your neshama pretty much, you have to have real serious tshuva. Now, the good news is that doing tshuva for it is very much possible. It just requires a few things. First and foremost, a person needs to understand that Hashem wants you to do tshuva. How do we know? You go to the book of Ezekiel. There's obviously a bunch of different places, but you go to the book of Ezekiel. And Hashem Yitbarach says the following. In chapter 18, verse 32, it says, Ki lo echpotz bamot amet, neum Adonai Elohim ve'ashivu v'chayu. It says, I don't desire the death of a dead person. Says Hashem Elohim, do tshuva, return yourselves, and you'll live. Do tshuva, and you'll live. First of all, we have the explanation of this verse. What does it mean, I don't want the death of a dead person? How does a dead person die? And second of all, what does returning have to do with living? So, Rabotai Karim, the Mefarshim say the following. It says, when Hashem says, I don't want the death of a dead person, he's telling you that when someone is sinning on a regular basis, someone is leading a wicked life, and is not doing the will of Hashem, in the eyes of Hashem, he's considered dead. So Reshaim, even during their lives, are considered dead. Even though they're living, they may be driving, they may be doing a lot of things, but in the eyes of Hashem, they're dead. Why? They have no Olam HaBa. Their life is temporary. So Hashem says, I don't have an interest, I don't have a desire to make the dead person even more dead. Meaning, I don't have a desire to have this guy that's wicked now stay like this and have no Olam HaBa. Let him do tshuva, and he'll live. What do you mean he'll live? He'll live forever with me. He'll have Olam HaBa. This, by the way, is one of the sources. A lot of people ask, what are the sources in the Torah for Olam HaBa? This is one of the many, many sources in the Torah for Olam HaBa, where he says, let him do tshuva and he'll live. Let him do tshuva and he'll live. Now, how do we do tshuva? What's the ingredients? Now, the verse before this explains the key ingredient to doing tshuva. The key ingredient to doing tshuva, especially for wasting seed. Now, when you arrive in Shemaim and you tell them, listen, I did tshuva, I kept Shabbat, kosher, talat mishpacha, everything was good, I watched my bleed. Like, yes, you did all of that, but you have Shabbat missing for 5 years. You didn't keep Shabbat for 5 years. Or you didn't, before you did tshuva. Or you didn't keep Shabbat for 20 years. Or you didn't watch your brit for 20 years. So you have to make that up. So first and foremost, to do tshuva, you have to do a few things. Number one, stop sinning. Simple enough, stop. Simple to understand. 2, regret the sin. Talk to Hashem, Hashem, listen, I know what I did was wrong. I'm sorry. How many times? As long as you still feel pain from it. If you feel that what you did was wrong, keep saying, I'm sorry. This is what Idbodedut, for example, is supposed to be really about. It's not just supposed to be about asking Hashem for millions of dollars. For people that like to do Idbodedut, for example, Rabbi Nachman Breslev, and others that talk about Hitbodedut, in reality, it's not just about asking for stuff. Hashem is not Santa Claus. It's about doing tshuva. Chatanu avinu pashanu. If you say, I'm sorry, you're opening the gates of heaven. Why? You're showing Hashem that it's good for Him to give you. Why? You're doing tshuva. He wants to give you more than anyone else. So doing tshuva is the second thing of saying, I'm sorry. Now, how do you make up for that lost time before tshuva? The other verse gives you the exact secret. Again, book of Ezekiel, this is chapter 18, starts with verse 30. Neum Adonai Elohim, shuvu ve'ashivu mikol pish'echem ve'lo yeh lechem lemichshol avon ashlichu me'alechem et kol pish'echem asher pashatem bam ve'asu lechem lev chadash ve'ruach chadasha ve'lama tamutu bet Israel. The word of Hashem says, return and bring others back from all your transgressions, so that they not be for you an obstacle of iniquity. Cast off upon yourselves all the transgressions through which you have transgressed, and make for yourselves a new heart and a new spirit. Why should you die, O house of Israel? So at the end of the verse, he's telling you, I don't want you to die. Why should you just die like this, without doing tshuva? Do tshuva. But how do I do tshuva? You do tshuva and bring the others with you. Meaning, do kiruv. You have to do kiruv in order to do tshuva. You must. Why? He says it right here. So they are not an obstacle of iniquity for you. What does it mean they're not an obstacle of iniquity for you? A few reasons, a few things. Number one, it could be that one of your things that you did caused other people to sin. Because you are mechalel Shabbat, you brought a few people down with you. A few other people started violating Shabbat. That's number one. If you are immodest, you cause other people to behave that way also. So you have to do it. You have to get them to do tshuva. That's number one. Number two, that's how you make up for that missing ingredient. If you come up to the Shamayim with 5, 10, 20 years of missing Shabbat or missing wasting seed, you haven't watched your breed for 20 years, how do you fix it? Ezekiel, the prophet, tells you, get somebody else to do tshuva for wasting seed. Get somebody else to do tshuva for Shabbat. Why? Every time they keep that mitzvah, it goes to your credit also. So now every Shabbat for you is 2 Shabbats. Every time he watches his breed, it's like you watch your breed. If he was to do it 5 times a day like a machine, now it's like you watch your breed 5 times. That means that instead of having a deficit of 5, 10, or 20 years that you missed out yourself because you didn't do tshuva, you show up to Shamayim with a surplus. All the extra mitzvot that you have. This is why the Chavot HaLevavot, we said it on Sunday, but it's worth repeating again. The Rabbeinu Bachye, almost 1,000 years ago, in Sharei Ahavat Hashem, Perek Vav, he says, even if somebody gets to such a high level to fix his own neshama in front of his Creator, and even if he's even gone to the point where he's fixed it so well that he looks like an angel, he looks like the prophet Moshe Rabbeinu, in his midot, tovot, in his good midot, in his good behavior, and how much he sacrifices himself in front of Hashem Yitbarach, and he has this pure love for Hashem, even if someone has fixed himself to that extent, he became a little mini Moshe Rabbeinu. She became a little Sarah Imenu. The Chavot HaLevavot says, even though his merits will never be like someone who gets other people to come back to Hashem, will never be like someone who makes the wicked go back and serve Hashem. Never, not a maybe, never, never. You could learn Torah, you go on a kollel, learn from morning to night, and somehow invent 48 hours in a day. Chavot HaLevavot says, it's still, even you got to Moshe Rabbeinu, still not going to be like someone that gets people to do tshuva. Now, getting people to do tshuva does not mean me. Does not mean just a speaker. It also means someone that gives a CD out. It also means that someone that gives $1 to buy the CD. It also gets someone that arranges a lecture. You get 25, 50, 500, 1,000, 200 people show up to a lecture. Somebody does tshuva, ashrecha ve'ashrecha kecha. You get people who do tshuva. There's nobody better than you in the world. There's nothing you can do greater than this. Now, who is this Chovot HaLevavot? Rabbi Yosef Karo, alav hashalom, who wrote the Shulchan Aruch. He had a book separate from the Shulchan Aruch called Magid Yesharim, which was his journal of the conversations between him and the Malach, which was his Chavruta. He had an angel that was his Chavruta, and the angel told him to study Musar every day. What Musar? Study Chovot Levavot.